Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we forgot, or I should say I forgot, to extend the solar panels on our starship. So we needed to send up this tiny little cheap rescue craft, and now of course what we need to do is rendezvous with our starship tanker, which should be this starship tanker. We'll set that as our target, and we have that maneuver. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that maneuver, of course. So can we just get rid of that? We cannot delete the maneuver node because we're control locked. Right, because we don't have any power. I don't personally think that you should not be able to remove maneuver nodes when you're control locked, so I'm just going to clear that and just clear this out. Apparently we still can't do it because we're control locked. Okay, we're going to have to switch to the Starship tanker. I guess this will allow us to verify that this is the correct tanker as well, but that isn't the most difficult thing to verify. Yes, this is obviously the correct tanker. Okay, so that is fine. We need to clear this input locker, get rid of that. There we go. And now, of course, we're not going to do anything with it because we need to get our rescue craft over to it. So we'll switch back to the rescue craft. I just wanted to clear out that maneuver node just to make things a little bit more, well, less messy, I should say. So that'll be fine, and we can now get started with our rendezvous attempt. So we can see we have an ascending node inclination of 1.3 degrees, and we're very close to this. So let's just see about getting that changed to be about here. 49.7 meters per second, that is fine. We'll just head on over to that node. And that burn is going to be in about 30 seconds. So that's absolutely okay. We'll just get into the correct inclination, or very close to it. 10 seconds, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. This thing's thrust to weight is way higher than I expect it to be every time. Okay, that's 2.89 thrust to weight. It's kind of remarkable. So it's now 0.0, and that is looking good. I want to get ourselves a nice interception here. This is way off, so we should probably do an orbit or two. That is very deeply unsurprising. Okay, that's going to be a number of orbits. Somewhere around here or so is what we're looking at. Okay, so that is going to be a separation of 10.9 kilometers. We can dial that in a little bit, but this is starting to lose efficiency. This is good enough. So that'll be okay. Let's head around to that node. That'll be in about 2 hours and 28 minutes. And a warning here, last time we did something like this, there was some flashing images. So if you're photosensitive to that sort of thing, look away until I tell you that the warp is over. So we're beginning the warp as of now. Okay, it's not as bad this time. We're not warping quite as fast because I think we're a little lower. But the warp is still ongoing, and it is completed as of now. Okay, so that is absolutely excellent, and we're going to make our way on through, but I don't think that was nearly as bad for photosensitive people, hopefully. And we're going to commence this burn in about 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Once again, a very high thrust to weight here. But there we go. 0.0 meters per second. We'll put ourselves into kill rot for right now. And we're, of course, right out over here. We're going to be rendezvousing basically at the apoapsis, so that's pretty ideal. Let's warp to about here, and I'll stay in the map screen here just in case. Should be absolutely fine. Yeah, we're not going to have huge amounts of, like, passes of Kerbal, so it wasn't ever going to be a problem here. We'll switch over. We are in target mode here. We're going to need to be in target mode here. So where are we relative to the target? We're pretty far off, actually. I'm going to pull us around to retrograde. And we're going to do a burn somewhere around here or so. And that is moving our separation apart. But it should start to get there pretty soon. Actually, where are we relative to this thing? Wow, that is really far away. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually burn us towards target here. We need to bring this a lot closer. So we need to burn, like, up over this direction or so. Yeah. Something like that. That's 0.0 kilometers. We'll go to relative velocity minus here, and we can see we're on our way in. We're very, very close right now. Cool. So that was a decent braking burn. I'm going to leave this guy in orbit and fully fueled, by the way. That is the plan here. So we're just going to bring down our relative speed a bit. We're down to about 4 meters per second. I now want to control from here. We're going to turn around towards target. And I'm going to arm our advanced grabbing unit. There we go. And I want to attach somewhere down over here or so. So RCS is currently on, but isn't actually doing anything. No, it is. It actually is, but these are thrust limited so low. Right. We're going to turn up the thrust limiting here a bit. Okay. There we go. We were thrust limited a little too low. So we need to head in towards target here. And what I want to do is be out over like this way. So I want to turn RCS off and turn us towards relative velocity up. We can see that we are going to want to change our angling here a little bit. Specifically, we want to go... Ooh, hang on. This feels really weird. Kill rot, please. Okay, this feels less weird. Very strange. Let's go over to relative velocity minus here. I think we have some control authority direction issues, but I'm just going to kill our momentum. Okay, good enough. Kill rot. RCS off. And at this point, I want to point at target, but I want the target to be like down here, right? This is the target right now, and I want it to be aiming more... Not that way. More this way-ish. Okay, kill rot there. And it's very hard to actually see what way we're aiming from that directionality. Oh, okay, this is looking decent here. Things are definitely oriented oddly. I'm going to rotate us around to be about like this. Overshooting that a little bit. And with us being in this orientation, things feel better. Definitely better. Okay. So now we're going to want to go about here. And I want to burn slightly towards target here. There we go. RCS on. And I want to bring this up to be right in the direction that we're facing. And maybe a little slower than 0.7. Ooh, 0.5. There we go. Yeah, something about like this. That'll do. So that'll allow us to grab on and rescue this craft. Fantastic. Because all we need to do is extend the antenna, or extend not the antenna, extend the solar panels. I can't believe I forgot to do that, but I absolutely did. That is 100% on me. Okay, so we're just going to grab on, and this craft is officially rescued. We're going to extend this solar panel, and extend this solar panel, and extend... We don't need to transmit this data. Stop transmitting, please. I wanted to extend the antenna, not transmit. Okay. So we will extend that antenna, and this craft is now rescued, so we can just leave this rescue craft in orbit in case we need anything else. We can also give it a quick refuel here, as long as we're here, and I'm going to do that. So this monoprop here, we're going to transfer in. This is an almost inconsequential amount of fuel for this particular vehicle, so this is absolutely fine. This is going to be 6 fuel. Like, this is almost irrelevant. So that's great. If we need the rescue craft, we'll leave it in orbit. So that'll be fine. Okay, so the rescue craft can now detach. It doesn't need to do anything else here. It has refueled. I'm going to disarm the advanced grabbing unit. And otherwise, it's just going to be chilling in orbit. Fantastic. So next up, of course, we want to open up this shield. And we want to rendezvous this with our other starship. So the question now is, where will this end up being in terms of orbit? So obviously our orbit's going to be a little bit off. That's not shocking in the slightest. It's very difficult to press this button here. I'm going to go into the graphical maneuver editor. It's a little bit easier to do. Okay, this is going to be a lot of orbits. I'm not shocked about that at all. We missed our window, and that's the price we pay. So at this point, now we're going to bring this guy around. Looks like it's going to need to be -1 orbit. Indeed. Maybe. What would this look like if it was +1 orbit from here? Okay. So it needs to be like half an orbit. So -1 orbit from here, but it needs to be like down this way. Yeah. Right about here seems about right. So 13.7 kilometers. Ascending node is 0.0. So we can just dial this in a little bit. 14.6? Ooh, okay. That's definitely a little bit spicy. So it's going to have to be a little bit of radial burning. Okay. Gotcha. So it'll need to go this direction in order to dial that in a bit. So that just means our timing is wrong, but this is good enough. This is only 22 meters per second, so I'm not too concerned about that. I see 0.2 kilometers. Looks fine. Okay, so let's line up for that at that node. And of course, with our reaction wheel, we'll be able to get there relatively soon. How are we doing with our electric charge? It didn't fully recharge, it looks like, but it's absolutely fine for now. So let's just get into position here. And again, this might be a flashing lights issue, so I'll let you know when the warp is completed. If you are photosensitive, look away now. Yep, that's what I'm worried about. Exactly. Okay, so the warp is now completed, and we're going to commence this burn in about 50 seconds. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0 mark. Okay, we almost overshot that one, but it's all good. So off we go, and I am intending for this to operate as our tug. So that'll be absolutely great. Does the one out here that is currently there have the extra reaction wheel? Well, even if it doesn't, this one acting as a tug will assist that. So that seems good. Getting that last little bit of burn there. This is close enough, I'm sure. And how's that going to be for the rendezvous? 1.1 kilometers apart, that's fine. Let's just warp up to the apoapsis at this point, and off we go. So of course we're going to need to go into target modes and see where we're at relative to our target. So, oh, we're very, very close here. Relative velocity minus, please. I did not expect to be quite this close. We're going to have to use monoprop to get there a little faster. Okay. We're turning at this moment, but we're turning very slowly. I definitely did not expect to be quite this close. Okay. Throttling up the engines here to get us turned a little bit more. Okay. Very awkward. We didn't really have much for turn time. Using monoprop a bit to get us up over there. We are still getting further away. You know what? Let's just burn at target at this point. Let's do it this way. Cool. So now we're going to be at target, and I'm going to use monoprop. Okay, that's not helpful. I'm going to turn off the smart ASS. I'm going to use monoprop to bring up our velocity here. That's also not very helpful. We just don't really have the capability of doing it. Okay. Noted. So that means, of course, that we're going to have to reduce our amount of speed. So let's warp here a bit. Okay. And let's position ourselves here. And we're reducing our speed just a smidge. I want to bring this up as well, so we're working on that simultaneously. 3 meters per second is a bit much, apparently. So we need to bring this down to about 0.1 meters per second or so. And yes, we are definitely drifting a lot here. Man, monoprop is being used for attitude control right now, and that's making it almost impossible. So I'm going to burn us here for right now. and we're going to need to turn our RCS off and just pull this right on up. About like this. Okay, and now I'm going to flip around to target velocity minus. There we go. While that's happening, I want this guy to be controlled from here. I want to grab this starship as our target, which apparently we're struggling to do here. Come here, you. We might be too far away still. Yeah, we appear to be too far away. Okay, so we're going to need to grab our starship tanker as target and point at target. Okay, so we want to be pointing away from target here. We are definitely struggling to turn. Relative velocity minus, please, and let's turn RCS on for the time being. Even with the added reaction wheel, it's tough. No doubt about that. So we need to bring our relative speed down to nil. That is the current goal at this moment. And then we just need to get these guys properly aligned. Okay. Commencing some amount of burn here. Yeah, we're seeing the node move on us because we're not perfectly centered on it. There. Something more like this. Okay, still moving a bit, but we're down to 0.5 meters per second. Looks good. That reaction wheel is definitely struggling to keep up here, and it's going to struggle a lot more when we're hooked up to this thing. So we're just going to move this down to 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, and that is about as good as we're going to get for right now. So let's point at target. Okay, let's just physics warp as we point over towards the target. I wish that this was turning, but it's not currently. We'll just have to get these aligned one at a time. Okay, so our reaction wheel has turned us over there very nicely. And I want to grab, well, let's just point at target for now. We'll get started turning on that, and I want to see, are we close enough now? Yes, to set the shielded clampatron docking port as our target. Looks excellent. And we can see that we have gotten a little bit of drift here, and that we do have momentum heading towards it. So that is actually very, very good. I'm very pleased to see that. Now we can use RCS at this low amount, in theory, to get us relatively lined up. In theory again. Okay, something about like that. Now we can hop back over here. RCS on, but I'm going to turn Smart ASS off for right now. And we're just going to move this right on up and just angle ourselves in like that. RCS off. And we get rid of that momentum and point at target. Reaction wheel should get us there relatively quickly. Cool. And now, of course, we're going to have a lot of drift because of our low momentum. So I'm going to use RCS to accelerate us up a bit to around 0.5 meters per second or so. I'm also just slowly nudging our overall velocity here, about like that. Cool. Now we can warp in. We see that we have a little bit of drift, so we'll need to correct this fairly soon. Okay. Let's make a small correction here. Bringing it back into position. Right about there. Cool. That should be much better as far as this docking goes. There shouldn't be very much drift anymore. So from here, we should be good. So basically, what we want to do from here, and I'm hoping that our joint strength is high enough for this. What we want to do from here is transfer as much fuel as possible out into these tanks. So open this one, this one, this one, this one, and then finally this tank and this tank. Okay, now we're going to transfer a bunch of fuel here. So I want to also shut down these engines that are up over here. 1, 2, and 3. So this is thinking that we have very little delta V here. I doubt that this is accurate. We have some amount of delta V anyway. I want to make sure that crossfeed is not enabled here. So I'm going to disable that crossfeed. And this should only be these engines down here. Yes. I want to be controlling from here. There we go. That looks good. And now I'm going to grab this tank and we're going to move the fuel out. Excellent. So we're just looking to refuel this Starship maximally at this time. There we go. And now we're going to move, or actually that's all of the fuel that we needed to move there. So that looks good. So now when we burn these engines, in theory, we should only be pulling fuel from these tanks on this Starship. And that's absolutely great. What I want to do now is I want to move as much of this fuel as possible, it may be all of this, into this bottom tank. And the reason I want to do that is not so much for mass distribution, but more so that we can keep an easier eye on how much fuel we have left. Okay, so we've got somewhere around 8K fuel, 8.3K. Sounds good. And then, of course, this is fully fueled. So the question is, will we have to dip into any of this fuel on our way out to the moon? We'll find out. For now, of course, we need to set the moon as our target. And we do have an inclination here. So we should probably end up changing that at the descending node. So I'm going to pin this open. At the ascending node, we are going to want to go this way. Now, the game thinks that this is way more delta V than we have. I suspect that the game has no idea how much delta V that we have. We have way more delta V in theory than we need. Let's lock to this node. Okay, now it thinks we have more. The game is very confused at how much delta V we have. Okay, this is what I was concerned about. No doubt about that. This is a concerning amount of wiggle that we have going on here. Okay. Ooh, that was very concerning. Incredibly concerning. Well, if this breaks due to physics, then we'll be able to revert. I'm going to create a quick save here, but it shouldn't break due to physics. Okay, so we're going to be aligned to our node. And it would appear that we really, really don't want to physics warp while we turn this. That definitely appears to be the case. We can use some monoprop here. And start making our way over. My concern right now is that when these engines start firing, it just destroys this connection. That's my main concern at this moment. We'll see if that's true or not. And we'll also see what ends up happening with this. The game is very confused by what we're doing right now. That's for sure. So some joints here would be good, but I don't really see a way to do that while this is unmanned. Okay, I'm going to freeze our physics here, and we're going to warp forward a bit. Okay, so we're preparing for this burn. The game thinks we have 1 meter per second here. That's very, very untrue. Just double checking that all 3 of these engines are at this bottom Starship. That is correct. Double checking that we are controlling from here. That is correct. And we're going to start this burn soon, but the game is very, very confused about what's going on here. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0, I think. Do we go by this timing? Do we just burn it? The game is incredibly confused by what's happening right now. That's for sure. Well, let's just see what happens here. Okay. This joint is absolutely a problem. It might work better if the fuel is down here, to be honest. To that end, I'm going to pin open all of these, and we're going to move the fuel down. So this is a learning process, to be sure. And we're going to grab this tank, and we're going to say out. There we go. Next, this tank, out. So basically, all we're trying to do is we're trying to put the mass in one specific location, which is down here, right? So that'll be okay for now. We want to have the mass down here instead. Did I grab all of that? Yes, I did. Okay. And that should make things a little bit better for us than having the mass up here. So that'll be okay. And yes, we're a little past our inclination change. I'm aware of that. We have some definite issues going on here. So we're going to move this on down. I'm going to wait until this is in a reasonable state here and freeze physics. There we go. Continuing to move down this fuel. Okay. And one more tank. I really don't like the way that that freezes. Okay, it did go boom due to a physics bug there. So I'm completely fine with reverting that to that save that we made because that's absolutely a physics bug. So we're going to revert that back. That should be... let's see here. Year 13, day 115. It might actually be this persistent save. Yes. Okay, so we're going to load that up real quick here, and we now know the way that we want to do this. So that's good to know. I was going to be content with what we had going on there, but with that physics bug, obviously, that was always a risk, and that's why I made this save. This save is just a hedge against that sort of a physics bug, which is obviously not going to happen in reality, right? Because that's not how anything works. So we're just going to hop on in here. Our Starship tanker is orbiting Kerbal, and we now know exactly what we've got going on here. Wait a sec. What maneuver was that? Okay, I'm not sure where we actually end up loading in. Okay, it's right here. Yeah, this is where we want to be. Cool. So as before, we're going to get all of these guys pinned open. So that is, of course, going to be 6 different fuel tanks. There we go. And now we're just going to transfer all of this out. 1, 2, 3. And of course, this is going to get completely full down here. There will be some fuel left up here, and that's understood. So here's number 4. Let's not do this while we are rocking back and forth quite as much. But I want all of the mass to be down here, and I want this to be considerably less mass. I feel like that will be much more controllable. Okay. So we're just moving all of that fuel over. There we go. So that is all of the fuel moved. Next, I want to move this remaining fuel as far down the rocket as we can. I want our center of mass to be down this way. So we're going to pin these guys open. We're going to need at least these 3 tanks, but I'm guessing we'll need this one as well. And we're going to say out here. Oh, that's apparently not moving during the warp. No, we're good. Okay. Yep, we definitely needed all of those tanks, and we're going to need this one as well. Okay. So we're just moving that fuel as down as we can. We don't want the center of mass to be up here, right? So that'll be fine. And our burn time is, this is still very confused at what our burn time is. But let's align to the node here and see what ends up happening if we physics warp this turn at this time. It's better. But I'm not going to call it great. Let's make sure we're controlling from here. Make sure that our correct engines are turned on. They are. And let's warp forward. Okay. This is definitely very, very, very spicy. No doubt about that. But our fuel is in a different position at this point. I'm going to warp forward a little further here. The game is very confused. No doubt about that. I'm going to commence this burn right about now. The question is, how much burn can we get away with here? This is much, much better having the fuel down here. Yes. That does actually make sense, since we don't have a joint reinforcement here. Yeah, this is reasonably fine. So we're going to be pulling the fuel from here, ideally, but this will just give us that little bit of extra fuel. Now, you are seeing a bend starting up over here. That is concerning. And we're going to have to... Yikes. That is very concerning. We're going to have to do something like that and hope that it doesn't break on us. And then make our way back around. Okay, so that bend is going to be problematic on our burn out to the moon. That's for sure. That said, there are ways that we can mitigate that, potentially. I'll have to think about that, though. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to wrap up this burn, although I'd actually like to do it right now. I'd very much like to do this right now. The core issue here is this joint weakness. No doubt about that one. I think we can get away with it on lower thrust levels. So if we were to thrust limit this and operate based on that, we'll probably be relatively okay at somewhere around half thrust or so. I think that's reasonably fine. And we're seeing this running away from us a bit, but this is good enough. Okay, we'll put this on kill rot, and this is 0.1. Yeah, we can work with that. So our burn out to the moon is going to be very interesting, but that is a problem for next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadowwolf, Kintogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.